Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna be copyrighted, but I want to watch Joe Rogan a bit. I don't know if he's gonna be copyrighted though. I just want to watch him a bit. That's all I want to do. Don't copyright strike me, man. Come on, bro. I just want to react.
Nestle, good food, good life.
Cause he's talking to the Punisher actor. Pretty dope guy. My God, man. With these things, bro. You're gonna copyright me for things I never intended, bro.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What kind of blowback?
Oh man, like so much. I think that look, man, when I had Shia Labeouf on, after these allegations came out of him and you know being physically and emotionally abusive to his girlfriend at the time. And what was crazy was I never wanted to have any actors on. That was kind of like my rule, just because and not because there's just so many podcasts where actors are talking to actors and they're talking about, and I'm actually interested in that shit, but like nobody needs to hear me talk about that.
Right.
But Shia at the time, he
Yep.
he was a guy that when we did Fury together, that was such a wild experience.
That was a wild movie. That was a wild movie. That's where, man, like that was one of my favorite movies, bro. One of my favorite movies. Like I would watch that movie more than once. That's crazy.
And he was this guy who came in. He like pulled his tooth out because he thought his character shouldn't have a tooth. He like cut his
Damn.
his face. He didn't shower for 8 months. And at first when I met him, I was like, "Man, this guy's just fucking. He's just loud. He's
Yeah.
wearing his process on his sleeve, showing everybody how hard he's working." But what I found,
Yeah.
after the 8 months of working with him, was somebody who, and and this is, it's just my own, he is every bit, this thing is every bit as vital to him as it was with me. I found a real partner. I found a real kindred spirit. I found that he was so fucking, he was willing to risk it all for this, for the work. And I walked away with like an enormous amount of respect for him and love for him. I also saw a guy who grew up as a child star, a guy.
Yeah, he had a lot of issues growing up as well. Man, it's so crazy because like Shia LaBeouf, man, is one of those actors like as you watch him, like as I watched him through like Transformers, yeah, mostly Transformers, honestly speaking. Like he just seemed like just like a very uh, enthusiastic actor, young actor, you know. So it's like I don't know. I felt like a little bit of like connection to him and whatnot, you know, in that sense. Only to find out that the dude had a lot of issues growing up and he had a lot of issues to deal with even while he was making those movies, you know, that he was mostly famous for, you know?
Who was felt like he needed to bleed out for his art, felt that he needed to live wildly out on the street and in real life in order to sort of maintain that danger in his
Yeah.
work. And I'm coming from a guy, me at this point, where I did all that when I didn't have the umbrella of being, a big movie star, and I didn't have that. But now I'm a guy who's absolutely a committed husband and father. That is my life. Like that, like my life is my
Yeah.
family, and what I found is the things that I can tap into, and my emotional sort of accessibility of being a dedicated father and husband is so much greater than when I was sort of this wild animal. And I care about people way more than I care about myself. My ego is dead in that in that sense. So I really wanted to
Yeah.
be there for him. And the first thing I remember seeing him and seeing this like raw nerve and this unbelievable talent, I would say I think he's the best actor I've ever worked with. And I really wanted to protect him. And I think more than anything else, I really wanted to show him what a real friend was like. I just remember like saying that to myself. I want to show you what a real friend is like. I feel like you've never really had a real friend. And my friends, the guys that I grew up with, they've been my best friends my whole life. They you know, couldn't do anything without him. I value that so much, right? So we had him on the podcast real early on,
Let me see something.
and before this stuff came out, and it was right at a time when he had gotten in trouble down
I mean,
in
let me read the
Georgia, and he went to
comments.
rehab, and he wrote this movie sort of about his own life called Honey Boy that got nominated for an Oscar, and he wrote it, and he played his dad. It's a movie about his life, and I kind of had him on sort of celebrating where he was at, because for a long time he had taken a lot of shit from this industry, and here he was sort of on top of the world. And I remember at the time, my agents at the time were calling me, being like, you think I could just get a phone call with Shia? Like, maybe we could, like, bring him, just, he was like, you know, and then this woman said he did these things to him, and
Hmm.
he was just done, canceled.
Yeah.
And I'll say, man, when I heard those, I decided, when I heard that he had done those things, for me, there really is a red line with people that I need to look at with myself. And through all the
Hmm.
shit that I've seen, all the shit that I've done, man, I can't be down with you if you put your hands on a woman. If you put your hands on a woman or a child, dude, I just like,
Yeah.
I can't, man. I can't.
Yeah.
It's
Can't.
hard. It's
I
difficult.
can't get over that. I can't. And I heard this, about my friend. And, I was really brokenhearted about it. And time
Hmm.
went by,
Yeah.
like 2 years, and I know how much acting is not only important to him, but like sort of necessary for his survival. And I would reach out on text, checking on him, and that, but we hadn't made contact. And then I heard that he was having a baby, um, and he was married, and I
Hmm.
reached out to him, and I said, hey man, maybe it's time for you and me to have another talk. And
Yeah.
I made a decision with my team and with him. I needed, again, you go back to the intentionality,
Hmm.
and I really looked at this role that you have of being a friend, and being a friend is not about turning your back on somebody when they do something that you find fucking deplorable, or when you find disgusting. Your job as a friend is to make sure they don't do it again. And your job now, as this guy's being a father, is to step in there and say, hey man, where are you at? Like,
Yo, bro, I'm just listening to this because I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't want to be copyright striked or anything like that. But yeah, I find it interesting because I was watching like the interview. No, that not interview. Whatever podcasts where him and Shia were talking and whatnot. Then you know the therapy that Shia had to go through, man. It's just one of those intense ones. Like that is the type of therapy that is very it produces results, really produces results. It's all about really helping you. It's none of these I don't even know if it's called, even if it's called therapy. I don't know. It's probably a camp or something like that. It's probably like a place where you have to go to if you have problems and whatnot. Then it's like it's really worthwhile. And from what he described, the things that they did and whatnot is like, they did intense stuff. I don't think of physically intense stuff, but they did like really heart drenching stuff, heart hitting stuff. I don't know how else to describe it. You got to go watch the whole thing yourself. You have to, no doubt about it.
what are you doing? What kind of work are you doing? Where are you? Like, that's what being a friend is. And everybody in my life was like, worst idea in the world. You cannot do
Mm.
that. You cannot do that. Um,
Mm.
and then he came on, man,
Yeah.
and we spoke, and I it was weird because I found so many of the same themes, and so many of the same the heart of what I found in that LWAP community I found in Shia.
Hmm.
The level of disgust, the level of work, the level of commitment, the level of shame, the level of
All right, I'm just gonna leave it here, guys, because I don't want to be in trouble or anything like that. But anyway, it's all about being fair anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But point is, man, Shia above. I don't know what he did specifically, but he did talk specifically. I mean, about the things that he did. Before that, I didn't know what he did, and he's he's an actor from Transformers and everything, and I think y'all know him, of course. But you know, he's a cool dude now. I like who he is now. You know, back then he was cool as an actor, I guess, but behind the scenes, you know, he was a real effed up dude. He was a real effed up guy, man, and he needed help, and he got the help that he needed. You know, he went through the whole process. You know, I also feel the same way about like if like you put your hands on a woman. I don't really mess with guys like that. You know, I don't really do that, and I've never met a lot of guys who do that. But learning that that's what he did, I immediately wanted to skip. Okay, so I know who you are, but I want to know how you end up as, right? So I found out during that interview, right, that he did all those things. I knew to some degree, especially throughout the year where he was going through this fiasco or where this fiasco was exposed. I kind of knew that okay, so he's doing something or he did something, something is exposed. It's almost like he was almost treated like the new Kanye or something like that, the Kanye of that time, right? Like the way, yeah, whatever. But point is, for him, it was different reasons. He did some shit, and he was exposed, and his life was not a good life, and he turned that around. Now when we hear him speak, you know, he's a different dude. Like, and I think, I think the people that he has hurt before, I think he already reached out to those people, and I think he made amends somehow. If I'm wrong, go do the research yourself. I don't want to be out here sounding like I'm lying or defending somebody, through false information, and that's not my intention. My intention of watching this thing is just it piques my interest because of who these people are, you know. And the Punisher actor, man. I mean, Bernthal, John Bernthal, good dude, man, awesome guy.